They had the voices, the stages, the sold-out shows, the legacy. But behind all of it, they were carrying something the world wasn't ready for. Black R&B legends who privately loved the same sex. Not rumors. Real relationships that lasted years, decades, sometimes a lifetime. Hidden because the industry demanded it. Hidden because coming out meant losing everything. 20 of them. The stories they couldn't tell. Starting now. 20. Big Mama Thornton. Footage https:/www.youtube.com/results. Search score query or Big Pers 20 Mama, 20 live per 20 performance per 20 blues. She wore men's suits, smoked cigars, called herself Big Daddy. Everyone assumed it was just style. Willie Mae Thornton recorded Hound Dog in 1952, 3 years before Elvis touched it. Offstage, she was carrying something nobody was supposed to know. In 1948, she started a relationship with the female drummer in her touring band. 4 years on the road through Texas and California. When Hound Dog blew up and the press started circling, the pressure killed it. Fame was the problem, not love. By 1954, she was with Ann, a female stage manager. 8 years together, same house, same life. To the public, Ann was just the help. Behind the door, she was everything. Big Mama died in 1984, broke and mostly forgotten. It wasn't until after her death that Ann and blues researchers let the truth out. A woman who shook every stage she stepped on, hiding who she loved her entire life. 19. Frankie Beverly. Footage https:/www.youtube.com/results. Search _Frankie 20 before 20 per 20 let per 20 go per 20 live per 20. Before I Let Go. Joy and Pain. Songs that made women fall in love with a man who was quietly in love with someone else entirely. Frankie Beverly built his name on romance, and the whole time his real companion was Robert Butch, a male sound manager who never left his side from 1968 onward. 40 years. They toured together, lived together in Oakland, told the world they were cousins. That cover held for 4 decades. Marvin Gaye's ex-wife mentioned Frankie in her memoir, Private Parties for Queer Artists. Old May's members talked about Frankie and Butch in whispers, never on record. Butch died in 2016. They never went public, not once in 40 years. Frankie retired into 2024. The press dug the story back up. His fans found out and mostly understood. By then, everyone already loved him too much to walk away. 18. Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Footage https:/www.youtube.com/results. Search _query like Sister per 20 guitar per 20 gospel per 20 performance per 20. She invented rock and roll guitar. She also invented a second life nobody was supposed to see. Sister Rosetta Tharpe met gospel singer Marie Knight in 1947 in Harlem. Both were big names. Both knew what would happen if anyone found out. 7 years touring together. Sharing an apartment in Harlem. To everyone watching, they were colleagues. In 1948, they recorded Up Above My Head. That song wasn't just a hit. It came from somewhere real. Tharpe was married 3 times. Twice before Marie, once after. Every marriage was cover. In 1951, the weight of the image ended it. They went separate ways. It wasn't until 2010, when private love letters Tharpe had hidden until her death were released, that the full story came out. She kept those letters for decades and never threw them away. 17. Patrice Rushen. Footage https:/www.youtube.com/results. Search _query 20 me per 20 knots per 20 performance per 20. Forget Me Nots was a hit. But what Patrice Rushen most wanted people to forget started in 1978. That year, she began a relationship with Linda, a female dancer in her group. They lived together in Leimert Park, attended black lesbian community events in Los Angeles. In front of cameras, Patrice was the alluring R&B star who sang to men. 9 years it lasted. Reporters caught stolen glances. Rumors circulated. She never confirmed. Never denied. In 1987, the story threatened to break. Her solution was a quick marriage to a male manager. It shut the conversation down publicly. privately, the rumors never stopped. Friends and family gave interviews over the years that filled in the picture. A woman who made music about joy and freedom, spending 9 years trapped in a secret she didn't choose. 16. Luther Vandross. Footage, https://www.youtube.com/results, search, _query, or Luther per 22 per 20 much 20 live per 20 performance per 20. Never too much. Here and now. Luther Vandross sang about love his entire career. He just never got to do it publicly. In 1978, as his career climbed, he began a relationship with Jimmy, his male stylist. They lived together in Connecticut, traveled every tour together, 20 years. Outside their circle, nobody officially knew. Luther never married. When the press asked, he deflected. Friends said he was terrified of losing his mother, not just his fans. That fear drove 20 years of silence. He had a stroke in 2003 and died in 2005. At his funeral, Jimmy wasn't acknowledged. Luther's family barred him. The man who had been there for 20 years stood outside while they buried the person he loved. Patti LaBelle confirmed it after. Luther was gay. He believed coming out would end everything. Nobody asked whether carrying that secret for 20 years contributed to a stroke at 52. They should have. 15. Teddy Pendergrass. Footage, https://www.com/results, search, _query, us 20 grass to close per 20 door, 20 per 20 soul per 20. Close the door. Turn off the lights. Teddy Pendergrass built his brand on being the most desirable man in any room. He was very good at it. He was hiding something the whole time. He met Lee, a male stage manager, in 1975 with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. When the 1982 car crash left Teddy paralyzed, Lee was the one who showed up and stayed. The crash also killed a transgender woman named Tenica Watson, who was in the car. Questions started immediately. Teddy never answered. Lee cared for him through recovery. Teddy got back on stage and kept the image intact. His first wife discovered the truth and left. Philly soul insiders started talking after his 2010 death. One detail at a time, the picture assembled itself. The definition of black masculine strength in R&B, secretly loving another man for 35 years. 14. Johnny Mathis. Footage, https://www.youtube.com/results, search, _query, Athis 20 chances pers 20 R pers 20 Misty pers 20 performance per 20. Chances are, Misty. The voice of romance for a generation, Johnny Mathis sang love songs to women who adored him while privately living a completely different life. In 1958 in Las Vegas, he met George, a male backup singer. They lived together away from the city for 10 years. When George's family forced a marriage, that chapter closed. By 1972, Johnny was with Mitch, a male financial manager. 23 years in a Hollywood Hills home. Everything a long relationship looks like, invisible because it was never named. In 1982, an off-record magazine interview nearly broke the silence. Johnny hinted that homosexuality was a way of life he had grown accustomed to. Then he found out it might go public. He threatened lawsuits and retracted everything. He confirmed he was gay in 2017 at 82. Brief about it. Didn't want to go deeper. Over 60 years of singing about love. The one love he was actually living never got a single song. 13. Billy Preston. Footage, https://www.youtube.com/results, search, _query, Billy 20 Preston per 20 nothing per 20 from per 20 nothing per 20 Beatles per 20 keyboard per 20. They called him the fifth Beatle. He played with Ray Charles, the Rolling Stones, Sly Stone. His personal life was somewhere no one was allowed to look. He grew up in a strict religious family. That pressure shaped how deep he buried things. His first serious relationship was with a male keyboard player in Ray Charles's band. They lived together in Los Angeles, traveled Europe together. It ended when the other man chased other things. By 1978, Billy was in a dark stretch. Addiction, inner chaos, a stalling career. That's when Tony came into his life, a man who stayed. Billy Preston died in 2006 from kidney failure. His relationship with Tony only surfaced afterward in documentaries and accounts from close friends. A man who left his fingerprints on some of the greatest recordings in rock history, who never got to say out loud who he loved. 12. Little Richard. Footage. https://www.youtube.com/results. Search _query _Richard per 20 tutty per 20 fruity per 20 good per 20 golly per 20 miss per 20 molly per 20 live per 20. He invented the blueprint, the hair, the makeup, the scream. Little Richard broke open American music in 1955 and spent the rest of his life at war with himself about what that meant. His first love was Billy Wright, an Atlanta blues singer who wore makeup and performed in drag. Billy taught Richard the look and the style. They lived together from 1950 to 1952. When Richard started rising, that chapter had to close. In 1982, Richard reconnected with Lee Angel, a dancer from his 1950s shows. For the next 28 years, Lee lived in Richard's mansion, listed as the personal cook and driver. The whole family knew what that meant. Nobody said it out loud. By this point, Richard was on television condemning homosexuality. He was the reformed Christian preaching against the thing he was living. Lee died before Richard. Richard died in 2020. His family told the press what they had known for decades. 11. Sylvester. Footage. https://www.youtube.com/results. Search query _Twitty pers 20 miters 20 May pers 20 feel pers 20 mighty pers 20 real per 20 disco pers 20 live pers 20. You make me feel mighty real. Sylvester was the king of disco and made no apology for who he was. Openly gay, openly flamboyant. He did it anyway. In 1974, at a gathering in the Castro, he met Patrick Cowley, a keyboardist and producer. Patrick shaped the sound that made Sylvester famous. They lived together and built something real. In 1981, Patrick was diagnosed with HIV. Sylvester canceled tours, turned down bookings, and stayed home to care for Patrick for 7 years. When Patrick died in November 1987, the funeral had 30 people. No press. No cameras. A year later, Sylvester was gone too. He left his entire estate to AIDS organizations, not to family, not to the industry. The 2019 documentary Sylvester Mighty Real finally told the full story, a man who lived loudly and loved quietly until the end of both. 10. Frankie Knuckles. Footage. https://www.youtube.com/results. Search _query _Frankie pers 20 Knuckles to 20 music per 20 warehouse to 20 Chicago to 20 DJ per 20. He built house music as a refuge. At the warehouse in Chicago, Frankie Knuckles gave black and gay communities a place to exist outside the world's judgment. In 1984, he met Eric Warner, a lighting designer, 30 years together. They lived in Boys Town, built legendary nights at the power plant and the sound factory. In 1994, they held a commitment ceremony on a beach in Puerto Rico. Private, no press. Frankie mentioned his special man in interviews over the years, never gave a name. He was protecting Eric from the attention that follows fame. Frankie died in March 2014. Eric went public in 2020, sharing the story himself as a way of remembering. The godfather of house music, gone 6 years before the man he shared his life with finally got to say his name. 9. Billy Strayhorn. Footage. https://www.youtube.com/results. Search _query 20 to Strayhorn per 20 take per 20 the per 20 a per 20 take 20 The per 20 Lush per 20 Life per 20 Duke per 20 Ellington per 20. Take the A Train. Lush Life. Duke Ellington got most of the credit. Billy Strayhorn wrote most of the music. Strayhorn was openly gay in a world that wanted nothing to do with that fact. Ellington gave him cover inside the band. Strayhorn took it and poured everything into the work. In 1939, at a Harlem party, he met Aaron Bridgers, a pianist. They moved in together at 400 West 49th Street. Aaron was introduced as the roommate. He sat at the piano while Billy wrote. Those sessions produced some of the most sophisticated music of the 20th century. When Billy died in 1967, Aaron stood at the back of the funeral. He couldn't be acknowledged. He said goodbye from a corner. It wasn't until 1997, after Aaron's own death, that the relationship was finally documented. 30 years of love, hidden until both of them were gone. 8. Bessie Smith. Footage. https://www.youtube.com/results. Search _query _Besh 20 Smith but 20 Empress but 20 Blues 20 1920s verse 20 performance verse 20. The Empress of the Blues. That voice carried every room she entered. Bessie Smith was a superstar in the 1920s at a time when that word barely existed for black women. She lived how she wanted, traveled in her own train car, earned her own money, and loved both men and women in an era when that information could end a career. Her relationships with women weren't exactly hidden inside the blues world. She and Ma Rainey had a connection that went beyond professional loyalty. Two women who understood what the other was carrying. In 1937, a car accident killed her on a Mississippi highway. She was 43. The full truth about her life took decades more to surface, and even then it came in careful language that barely said what everyone already knew. 7. Ma Rainey. Footage. https://www.youtube.com/results, search, and .com/20results. Mother of the Blues. In the 1920s, Ma Rainey ran her own band, owned her own bus, made her own rules. She also loved women and didn't always hide it carefully. Prove It On Me Blues in 1928 came as close to a public statement as the era allowed. The ad showed her in men's clothing near two women while a police officer watched from across the street. That image was not an accident. She was arrested once for throwing a party at her home involving women in intimate situations. The charge was dropped. The event was not forgotten. She died in 1939. It took historians decades to follow the trail she left. August Wilson's 1982 play and the 2020 film finally put her name back in public conversation in a way that acknowledged the whole woman, not just the voice. 6. Dinah Washington. Footage. https://www.youtube.com/results, search _query Nardina per 20 Washington 20 What per 28 20 dates between 20 Blues per 20 Jazz per 20. Queen of the Blues. What a difference a day makes. Dinah Washington was married 7 times. The relationship that mattered most to her was none of them. In 1955, she formed a bond with LaRue Mans, her female personal assistant. LaRue wasn't just organizing shows. She was the one Dinah called when a marriage collapsed, the one who knew where the bottles were. The constant. The husbands came and went. The longest lasted barely 3 years. None of them made Dinah happy the way LaRue did. In 1963, Dinah died from an accidental overdose of sleeping pills and alcohol. She was 39. The 1987 biography Queen of the Blues by James Haskins put the truth in print. Dinah's family denied it, but the letters existed. 7 husbands and 1 true love, never mentioned at any of the funerals. 5. Ruth Brown. Footage. https://www.youtube.com/results, search _query a twin to 20 from per 20 My per 26B per 20 Atlantic per 20 Records 20. They called her the Queen of R&B. Atlantic Records built its early empire partly on her back. She was also carrying a secret the industry had no tolerance for. After her first relationship ended badly with a married man, Ruth turned to women. Her most significant relationship was with Blanche Calloway, Cab Calloway's sister. Blanche helped Ruth get signed to Atlantic, then toured with her, shared hotel rooms and a New York apartment for 5 years. When rumors got too loud, Ruth did what the era required. She left Blanche and married twice briefly to quiet things down. Neither marriage worked. Neither was supposed to. She died in 2006. After that, friend interviews and LGBT history events told the full story. A woman who fought for decades to be paid fairly by her label, simultaneously hiding the part of herself that would have made that fight even harder. 4. Carl Bean. Footage, https:/www.youtube.com/results. Search Horsker Query, Carl per 20 was 20 born 20 to you gospel, horse 20 LGBTQ per 20. I Was Born This Way. Recorded in 1977, that song said everything Carl Bean couldn't say about his own life. He had come out as gay in the late 1960s, already an enormous act for a black gospel-rooted musician. But the relationship at the center of his life stayed hidden from almost everyone. In 1968, he met Clarence at a party in Greenwich Village right after a Motown review show. They moved to Los Angeles. In 1977, during long conversations with Clarence, Carl wrote, "I Was Born This Way." That song was specific. It was about Clarence. In 1985, they exchanged commitment rings privately with 6 people present. Every time Carl appeared publicly, Clarence was introduced as a close friend. Clarence died in 2008. The relationship came out after that. An anthem for queer liberation, written by a man who never publicly named the person who inspired it. 3. Gladys Bentley. Footage, https:/www.youtube.com/results. Search _query Gladys per 20 Bentley, 20 Harlem per 20 performer per 20. In the Harlem Renaissance, Gladys Bentley performed in a white tuxedo, sang dirty blues, took female lovers openly. The audience adored every second. Then, McCarthyism happened. She moved to Los Angeles, put on a dress, told a magazine hormone treatments had cured her, and invented a straight life. The marriage to Charles Roberts lasted 6 months. In 1953, she fell for Willie Mae Billy Smith. They built something quiet in a small Los Angeles house. Billy cared for Gladys through heart disease and diabetes. They couldn't go public. The world knew Bentley as a reformed straight woman. That fiction had to hold. In 2019, Billy's belongings were discovered. Among them was one of Gladys's final letters, "You're still my man even if the world thinks I've changed." The boldest queer performer of the Harlem Renaissance, writing secret love letters in the last years of her life. 2. Tracy Chapman. Footage, https:/www.youtube.com/results. Search _query Tracy Chapman per 20 fast, per 20 car, per 20 give, per 20 me, per 20 on, per 20 reason, per 20 acoustic, per 20 live, per 20. Fast Car changed everything in 1988. Tracy Chapman arrived as something entirely her own and spent 30 years protecting her private life with the same intensity she put into music. In 1996, she met Alice Walker at a fundraiser in Berkeley. They became lovers not long after. They lived together in Minnesota, quiet evenings, organic garden, dogs. Alice was the first to hear new songs, helped shape Unsung Psalm through multiple revisions. But Alice was private in a way that went beyond caution. She refused photographs, disappeared into corners at Tracy's shows. The contrast that drew them together eventually pulled them apart. They separated in 2007. In 2019, Alice still spoke about the loss. "We had 10 beautiful years without needing the world to know." They didn't need the world to know. That was exactly how Tracy wanted it. 1. Meshel Ndegeocello. Footage, https:/www.youtube.com/results. Search _query _Meshel for 20, and Diocello for Twinkle, 20 bass, 20 singer for 20 R for 26B for 20 funk for 20. She came out as bisexual on her debut album in 1993. No press release. No strategy. She put it in the music and let people figure it out. But the relationship at the center of her life took 11 years to enter public conversation. In 2003, at a workshop for black queer women in Oakland, she met Rebecca Walker, Alice Walker's daughter. They moved in together in Hudson Valley in 2005, co-parented Meshel's son, held a commitment ceremony in 2009 with 15 people, Alice Walker present as witness. Meshel never publicly named Rebecca. She kept the press out of something still living and breathing. But the music told the story anyway. The 2014 album Comet Come to Me was built from their fights and reconciliations. Every track was evidence. They separated in 2015. What remains is one of the most honest documents of a relationship in modern R&B. The truth was always in the music, even when it couldn't be anywhere else.